This is the first episode of the Adam Lew Show. I named the show after myself because I'm vain and I want my name out there. We're going to pick a different topic each episode and basically talk about a different topic each episode. And this week, we're going to talk about photography, and I'm joined by Alex Phan. What's your Instagram, Alex?
Hey guys, what's up? My Instagram is actually Fanatic. My last name is Phan. I just thought that would be a little cheesy but cool, but it's spelled Phvnatic. The V was like an upside down A, but there's no upside down A, so I just put V in, and it just looks cool. So yeah.
And yeah, we're going to be talking about photography this episode, just the basics, just like, what someone new would want to know about the topic and like maybe what would be practical for them to know. And Alex has taught me almost everything that I know about photography. And so, I think what everyone would like to know from iPhone, people just use iPhones to maybe even like people who have like fancy cameras, like is composition. So like, how you compose, like where you put the subject in the photo and everything. So, Alex, what's the basic rules of composition?
So basically, there's a bunch of rules of composition. Actually, there's never necessarily just a rule. Like you can always, some rules over generations have been broken, and new things have come out of it. But basically, like there's like rule of thirds. There's subject line in the middle, subject on the left, subject on the right. But basically, like what you want to do for composition is you just want to like frame the subject to the point where like it catches the viewer's eye. So the whole point of photography is like, if you take a picture and like no one knows what they're looking at, then like you kind of lost your purpose there. Like you kind of want to use all these techniques like leading lines, shadows, lights, color even works, posing position works, to the point where you open the picture up and you look directly at the subject, be like, okay, this is really cool. Like that's exactly what I'm looking for. But if you got people going in like, okay, I see the sky, I see the ocean, I see a person, I don't know exactly what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
You basically just want to like be able to tell a story. That's like my best advice.
And rule of thirds, can you take us through what that is? Yeah.
So basically, rule of thirds, you have 3 columns basically. There's a line right down the middle up to each 2, and then lines running through in the middle horizontally. You basically I don't really use rule of thirds that much. I just put that in my camera to like actually like help me frame where I want things to be. So like if I want the subject to be on the left, like the left column, I'll have her or him there. You know what I mean? But
why would you want a subject in the left column or the right column?
Well, it depends. Like if you want the subject in the left and you have like an environment on the right, you know what I mean? So let's say like there's a person there and then you got like a whole street or a building. But, like, mainly you're looking at the person first though, because like first of all, composition, they're closest.
Yep.
Visually, I wish we can have an example of this, but basically you just want left, right, it doesn't matter as long as like you're able to tell the story of what's going on.
I got you. But rule of thirds, okay, so you want to, like the rule goes, right, like if you pose a subject in that like area, like it may draw the viewer's eyes to that area, correct?
Yeah, based on what environment you're working with though. If it works for that environment, do it. Some environments work where you put them on the right side, that's fine. Sometimes right in the middle. Or sometimes you just cut them in half. Like basically, you just got to play around. It's like an art. Photography is an art.
It is an art.
You know what I mean?
And it's not just centering, like, because I think everyone just like, if you're just a beginner, you try to just center the subject, right? Like, like if you're out and someone like gives you their iPhone, like, oh, can you take a picture of my family? You just try to center them, right? But it's like the composition. There's a lot more to it than just centering the subject.
There's nothing wrong with centering. I think centering goes all the way back to minimalism itself, where there's like just one subject. Like let's say, hypothetically, I wish this was the situation, but let's say you have a car in like the Utah flats, right? Everything's so flat. Ooh. Everything's like, all the mountains in the background. You put the car right in the middle. That's perfect right there. I think that's the best composition for that situation.
Whose movies are super symmetrical? Well, like Wes Anderson films.
Oh, super symmetrical.
Like Wes Anderson films, right? Like if you see them, like it's like just super balanced. Like you have the subject in the middle, and then like everything's super balanced. So like you can center, but like just like play around with it, right?
Yeah, basically like you don't need to stick to one style. If that's your style, go for it. But I'm saying like whatever you find works for you, and whatever you find that works for your type of storytelling.
Okay, I got you. And just real quick, let's do the situation thing again. So
sure.
You're on the street, okay,
right.
And this really cute girl or guy, if you're a girl watching this,
all right, no worries.
Comes by and says, "Oh, can you take this picture of me and my friends?"
Yeah. And where are they?
Okay, so let's say you're in NYC, right? You're in Times Square, okay, and you're like right in the middle of Times Square with the bright lights. We were there, right? And then how would you compose that photo to impress this other
To
person?
impress that person. So are we talking iPhone here?
iPhone here. She just has an
okay,
iPhone.
so iPhones are great because first of all, they're fit in your pocket and they have a bunch of zoom levels that you can do. iPhones, honestly, guys, best camera you can have, like to bring with you. Not even
Yep.
joking. Best
Okay.
camera you can have.
Okay.
So basically, in this situation, so if you want like to capture the entire thing, I'd go a little wide. You know, get all the lights, get them in it. But if you want to go a little more personal, you know, zoom all the way in, have them like, you know, sit up and then take it from a lower angle.
Oh, a
And that's
lower
good 'cause
angle.
You can get because
Oh.
you can maximize. Well, not maximize. But you can visually tell the story and how big the buildings are. You know, compared to the subject.
So you would shoot it at a lower angle, have them look down at it, and
not,
like
not too low, but I would have them like, you know, where it shows that the buildings are higher than them. Like it places the buildings as the main, like, you know, the big subjects of the picture. But, you know, keep their chins up always. That's always the tip. Tip, guys, if you're shooting from below, always tell them to keep their chins up
why is that?
because you don't want double chin.
Oh,
Yep, so have their chin up, they can look right down at you. It looks more pleasing.
and you were telling me this the other day, like don't cut them off at the limbs, right?
Yeah, because like I told Adam not to cut anyone off at the limbs. Well, this is like post crop, and when you compose your pictures, it's because like they kind of look like they're limbless. You know, try to cut them at like forearm, thigh. That's fine. Just don't do knees. Don't do wrists.
So don't cut them off.
Don't do elbows.
Yeah. I've done that a bunch of times. Cut them off at the knee.
No worries, man. That just makes a pic. If you go online, everyone says that.
Okay.
Mainly for portrait photographers, that's what they'll say.
And if you have a professional camera, like you shoot vertically too, right? That could help with the portraits, right?
Depends. I shoot a variety of both, horizontally and vertically. It just depends, basically. I like mainly shooting horizontally, but for vertically, if you want like maximum resolution and crop, for like, you know, Instagram or social media, I would shoot like vertically.
See that's what most of our viewers are
and
probably
plus,
gonna think. Yeah.
plus, like, you know, mostly people who do this for fun, if you're scrolling on Instagram, for example, the vertical pictures are much bigger, so it kind of gives people more of a chance to stop and look. You know, it's easier for them to see.
Yeah. Instagram's a hard place to show off your photos though, because you crop it a lot too, right? And it's like, you know, sometimes the quality doesn't always show up on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just go on Lightroom, whatever you do, figure out what the resolution you need is, put that on, you know, crop 4:5 if you need to. That's mainly what I do for vertical portraits. I do 4:5, and then horizontally, I either do square or 4:5. I think 16:9 is too small. I think that's especially for a phone, if you look in, you're going to have to zoom, and like, it pixelates anyway. So, I mean, usually I don't really just post. I post just for fun on social media. But, you know, you want your work to look the best it can.
Of course.
Like always, you know, that would
always.
just irritate me if I'm like, it's a little too blurry, you know, so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And okay, so we brought, you know, I know the viewers can't see this, but we brought our cameras with us, our fancy cameras. You know, I have my Sony, Alex has a Fujifilm and a Leica camera. So what's the difference between these between all the brands? You know what I'm saying? Like each one has a different look, correct? And like when people are looking to shop for a new camera, let's say, like what do you think they should consider with each of these brands?
So in terms of brands, I think for the money you pay, they all can do a great job. Personally, it's just like each brand does have a strength over the other. I have to admit, I have used many cameras in the past.
And take us through what the main brands are.
Yeah, so mainly the main brands for right now for full frame. Let's talk full frame. We can do 35
What does full frame mean? So
full frame is the size of the sensor, guys. So full frame indicates that it's the same as 35 millimeter, and 35 millimeter is a traditional film camera size back in the day until now. So that's like the sensor size you want, and then down from that, you have APS-C, which is known as crop format, which replicates APS-H film, which is also film, but, you know, smaller sensor. And then you have medium format, which is bigger than full frame and very expensive, of course. So not something we can talk about because I don't think I can afford it.
Not yet.
As of right now, no. It's not on the list.
But you said 35 millimeters, so that's how far the subject appears from the lens, right? Like
no, in terms of 35 millimeter, that's like that's just the size of the film that you use for sensors. That's why they call full frame 35 millimeter, because it's based on the size of the film that I used back in the day, and people just take that term and call full frame 35 millimeter.
I got you. But focal length of lenses, right? So we got 16 millimeter, 35. Well, like what does that mean?
Yeah, so basically, it's just like how the lenses react to the sensor you put on. So the smaller the number, the wider it's going to be. The bigger the number, you know, the closer it's going to be, and the more compressed the subject's going to be, that means like the background's going to be appearing closer to the subject than like a 16 mil. Like an 80, let's do 85 versus 35. So 85 is, that's like known as a telephoto range already. The subject you take with an 85, they're going to look a lot bigger and the background's going to appear to be very much closer to them. That's called compression. If you do it on 35 millimeter, you know, the subject is not going to be as close and you're going to have more of like an environmental, like friendly portrait. 85 is a little more intimate in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Like 85 is good for like headshots, right? Or
yeah,
like,
headshots. I know a lot of concert photographers use 85 if they just stick to one prime, you know. It's just a great focal length in general to have.
And like the first lens I got was a 16, and that was really good for like landscapes.
24 is great for everything,
Yeah.
mainly for video. It's great if you needed like an all-around lens just for video work. 24 is great.
Like, and it's a wide angle too, so you get a lot of things in the
Yeah.
frame. Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. So, but back to the brands. We did get sidetracked a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
no worries, no worries.
So the main ones we got Fujifilm, Sony,
Yep.
Canon, Nikon.
Nikon.
And then is Leica even still a main one?
I
or-
would say Leica is, so you have Leica, you have, so Leica, so right now we're going to talk very premium camera brands. So we have Leica and then we have Hasselblad. Those are the main brands. Hasselblad is mainly medium format now. Fuji is great. Fuji actually does not produce any full frame cameras.
Huh.
So surprisingly, they have APS-C and then they jump right into medium format. And the reason why is because they don't want their cameras to cannibalize each other. So if you have if they have APS-C full frame and medium format, in terms of business wise, people would just probably buy the full frame. You know what I mean? So they do that on purpose. So you're like, you know, APS-C is for like enthusiasts or people who want to carry a lightweight, and then medium formats for, you know, bigger studio, bigger landscape work, and then
So
for
wait, they have
high-end
medium
products.
format and APS-C?
Yep, but no full frame.
But
Every other camera brand though has APS-C and full frame, but Fuji has APS-C and full frame. They're very known for like they're very well made full frame, medium format cameras.
And
of
full
course.
frame, it just shows more, like the sensor shows more, right?
It doesn't show more. It's just that's the sensor size you get.
Okay.
You know, it's basically we're talking about like sensor size. Like it's not like so whenever people talk about sensor size, they think it's like point of view.
Yeah.
That is the easier way to understand it, but just think about sensor size.
Okay.
It's that you have one sensor that is bigger than the other.
No, but if I have a crop frame, and I have a 35, like it showed, like the picture would show, it would actually be a 50, right? Because the picture would show less. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it would be cropped. But if I have a full frame, like it would be a wider.
So it
angle,
would
right?
be cropped, and I'm
Yeah.
doing air quotes right now, like
Yeah.
'cause that's, you know, that's 1.5 times. So people call it a crop frame, but I just like to call it APS-C full frame.
Okay.
And
I
each
got
one
you.
is different. So let's say you have a 16 mil lens on a
Yeah.
APS-C camera. So on APS-C, that is 16 millimeters. But if you do a full frame equivalent of that, that's 24 millimeters.
Okay. I got you.
So basically, just do it based on the sensor size that you have. But usually, everyone references full frame. It's just, you know, if you're good at math, do it. It helps. If you're not really good at math and you're a little slow, it's going to take you some time. But yeah.
But full frame, like a lot of professional photographers use. Like I remember, you know, I tried to get a couple weddings to do for myself, and like people wanted like a full frame camera, right? Because like I don't know, like it's just kind of expected of you if you're a professional. So like if you do want to do professional photography and you do want to do work, you do want that full frame camera, right?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I think a lot of people prefer full frame because that's like the industry standard, and then like also full frame is just good in general for getting low light, fast action, like great, like detailed images.
Okay.
I have seen people do a lot of work using APS-C cameras, especially on YouTube. Sometimes you really can't. The thing is, like, if you put two pictures side by side, you take an APS-C camera and a full frame, same event, right? Same. Let's just do similar focal length. So, for APS-C, you're going to use a 35 mil lens. And then for full frame, you're going to use a 50 mil lens. So both cameras and lenses are going to give you the same perspective. If you put them side by side and put them online and have someone, you know, inspect them, chances are the regular person will not spot the difference. I don't even think I can spot the difference, honestly. So basically, I think gear just depends on what you really need for that job. So I don't see spending an extra $2,000 if you don't really need it. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
For sure. And were you gonna say something? No.
No, I'm just waiting for you, man.
So, and in terms of editing, I know a lot of people use filters, you know, stuff like that. Instagram.
Absolutely.
But it's always better to get the picture right the first time, and then enhance it in
There you go.
post-production.
I have taught you well.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, well, in terms of editing, I think people are just way too focused on editing more than taking a good picture themselves. So I feel like the most important thing you need to do, guys, is just take a good picture in general. If it looks good without editing, you have taken a great picture. But editing just adds like, I guess it just adds like the artistic style to it, you know, just like, you know, how painters over the years, everyone's completely different. Like you got Van Gogh, Picasso, you know, they're all doing the same thing, they're painting.
Yeah.
But they use different like colors,
Sure.
textures, tones, you know, that's exactly the same thing with photography. You use different colors, textures, tones to like portray how different you are from everyone else.
So yeah, that's a good point. So just get the picture right and then enhance it in post.
Absolutely.
And in terms of lighting, it's always a general rule of thumb. It's always best to take pictures at golden hour, right?
Yeah, golden hour, sunrise is great too. Anytime you have a sun over like a horizontal horizon, because that light's the easiest to manipulate and work with. Like if you have like a harsh afternoon light where it's like directly above you, you know, that's almost impossible to get like different contrasts and shadows, different soft lightings where you want. Because like if let's say you take a picture in harsh lighting of a portrait, you know, you go in post, it's gonna be almost impossible to recover that, like all that like highlight detail that you're gonna lose.
Like the face is gonna be blotched out,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. You're gonna have to either go to Photoshop or, you know, just go out and retake the pictures again.
Yeah, and you don't want to retake
I
those pictures.
do not recommend that at all. I mean, if you can work with it, by all means, everyone's different, go for it. I'm just going to save time and just not do that.
But let's say they are in harsh light. Let's say it's an afternoon. I'm just out. And you're in that situation. It's best to find places that are like shadow, like where there's some shadow, where there's some things to like diffuse that light, right?
Yeah. Well, you want I would say diffuse it. Like, this is like harsh lighting, but if you go golden hour, I don't think you really need it in general. But you know, if you're gonna shoot harsh lighting, I would recommend you do it in a city because you have a lot of buildings to create shadows and, you know, alleys to work with. I've shot a bunch of street photography, harsh lighting in the city, and that's much better than shooting it on a beach, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have a lot of different shadows and different dark areas to work with.
I see. Okay. And it's just not good to shoot it like directly in that harsh sunlight.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I got you.
That's just personal opinion. If you disagree, it's fine. I just don't think it's a good idea. It's a waste of time.
And you're not much of a user of like artificial lighting, right?
It depends on the situation. I don't really like using like just like a lot of like studio flashes and stuff because I just don't think it just looks way too, this sounds ironic, but it looks way too digital for me. Like I like to use like on camera mount flashes, but then I wouldn't flash them directly. I'd either bounce the light off the roof or sometimes you can flash them directly. It looks way better if you edited them correctly because it would just look like flash grainy posts.
Yeah,
like post film, you know what I mean?
I got you.
You know, like back in the day when people used to shoot flashes on film cameras.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted to emulate. That's the only time I would use a flash, though.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just with that wedding, whatever. But like the photographer I was with, he used like a flash to like bounce like light off of the bride's like dress.
Yeah.
And like this was during nighttime, so like it kind of had this look where like it was kind of like a spotlight showing on the bride and the groom like in the middle of the night. It wasn't a bad look, but like that was kind of an example of someone using studio or artificial lighting there. But yeah, I mean it was pretty interesting. It wasn't a bad look. I
think it could have been better.
You think so?
Yes, because if he's bouncing the light off of her dress, though, like how is he lighting both of them up? Like it would make more sense if he was bouncing light off of like a white background. Because if he's lighting it up on the dress, I think only one person's getting lit up and the other person isn't. So by all means, I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing. I just think there are much smarter approaches to doing this. Work smarter, not harder, guys.
Yeah, he had me hold like the flash behind them and everything. I didn't really know what was going on. But
yeah,
he had like toward her, and he had me bounce it off of her.
I think like if we're going back to the basics and stuff, I think like a lot of people think they're good when they're really not. Like I'm not trying to be like rude in any way. I just think it's nice to give criticism. Like I think even myself, I give myself a lot of criticism. I don't think I'm the best. I really don't.
He's very good. I mean, I always tell him he's very good, but
I don't think I'm good. So I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of people out there who say, like, "Oh, I'm the best. You can't tell me otherwise." You know what I mean? That's an attitude not to have during like any kind of artwork that you do.
Yeah, and we're gonna end it on like always be open to improvement.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, always be improvement. Well, open to improvement. You know, some constructive criticism. That's like the thing. I wouldn't say feedback. I'd say constructive criticism.
It's tough to hear sometimes, but it's true.
Oh, it is. It's like sometimes you don't want to hear that, but you know that's how we learn.
Yep, exactly.
So just improving from our mistakes.
And yep, that's the first episode. Alex, plug yourself real quick.
Absolutely. Here we go.
No, plug yourself.
Oh, plug myself?
But yeah, that too. But plug Instagram, you know.
Oh, plug my Instagram. Yeah, guys. You guys can follow me at PHVNATIC.
And then
PHVNATIC.
And then you can follow me. I think my username on Instagram is Adam Lew 22. My website's AML dash. Don't forget the dash, folks. Creative.com. That was the cheapest domain on GoDaddy. And yeah, this is the first episode. It should be on Spotify. Maybe I can get it on Apple Podcasts or something. But yeah, thank you. And this is a blessing. I hope you all enjoy. And Venmo me. Or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, honestly, guys, this sounds crazy, but if you want to help me and Adam on a little journey and you're feeling a little kind, just shoot us a Venmo.
Or Cash App or whatever, Zelle, whatever you want.
$2. Just go on my Instagram, DM me if you're willing to help. I'll be sure to give you a shout out. And, you know, karma goes both ways. So
100%. 100%.
well.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Have a good one.